I got a, I don't know, 70 something Briggs 5-horse horizontal shaft engine here. It's got it from the scrapyard. It was seized up, so process of taking the pulley off the back, I actually broke the piston loose, but it only goes that far up the bore. So I've taken the rod cap off it, and it actually looks really good. So I'd kind of like to save the connecting rod if I can, but the problem I got is getting the piston out. Back down there. Since the rod's connected, I have to smack it back down. Anyway, so what I'm thinking is I'm just going to use like, I don't know, 300 grit sandpaper on the cylinder. I have to remove this, it's oxide, aluminum oxide or whatever, some type of sponge from it there that's stopping the piston rings from coming up past it. Piston and the piston rings there. Hard to say which one's actually binding up. Could be the piston also, I guess. You'd think it'd be the rings because they stick out tighter, but it's all a clearance thing, right? The ring can compress as long as it doesn't have corrosion in back of it to bind it. But you can see the amount of corrosion in here in the valve guide area there. But other than that, the engine, you know, it wasn't full of water or anything. It didn't. I've seen worse, put it that way. So I'd like to try to save what I can on it. I think both valves are seized up. You know, moss on the head and things. But so I'm gonna sand that out, and we'll see if I can get this thing torn down there. Well, there I got it so the piston will move to the top after some sanding, and I had to use my wood block, or in this case Briggs blade mount trick to break the flywheel nut loose there. Basically just put that thing down in there and put the cylinder head back on and crank on her with a 6-point socket there, 15/16, sorry, and just step on the power bar and bang, breaks it loose. And then I take my piece back out of there and maybe put the head back. Well, no, I won't put the head back on because I'm going to take the piston right out. Oh, there you go. It just pushed itself right out there. There we go. See that con rod's in good shape. So, the ring's got a little bit of rust on them there. I think those two are lined right up. Looks like the top ring's stuck. That's gaps over here. The 3 gaps are almost lined up. But anyway, and then the cylinder bore there, it's yeah, I got sandpapered, put it that way. So my guess, if I tried hard enough, I could get this old lad to run again. So I may just do a little bit of that. So, but got the piston out of it at least. I could take the flywheel off. There's pounding on it there, probably on the. Got one of those tools with the brass insert that you pound on it there with. Well, there, here we are about an hour later. I finally got the valves out of it. I got my torch here, and it was the intake valve. I heat this part up, cleaned all the dirt off at first. Valve guide, heat it up. Don't melt it, but you gotta heat her up. And then I put my slimmest file in there under it, pound it in, and you gotta be careful you don't hit the cylinder wall there. Then knock it back down, penetrating oil the heck out of it. Keep doing that back and forth, and finally you can get to the point where you can go to a little thicker chisel, and then thicker and thicker. Then eventually I tried the exhaust valve. It came right out, surprisingly. Looser fit, I guess. The intake, it was tight right to the end, and I had to mount it to this frame here, my motor test frame, and you see she's got a lot of well, it looks like a gear on top there now. The amount of vice gripping I've done to it. The valve's bent too from chiseling it so hard. It's a little bit bent at the bottom there. I tried to pound it straight just so it'd come out. Yeah, I can see she's got a bend in her. Could be some of that from twisting also as I'm, you know, back and forth. You got to get it going back and forth, and you keep penetrating oil in it and keep heating it up and all that. And, yeah, it's a process. I got to admit, this is one of the hardest ones I've had to get out. So the valve's like not usable now, of course, but anyway, at least it's out of the block. So, and I see that I damaged this a little bit. I'll have to maybe pound that down, file it flat, just so it'll hold the gasket, put some gasket sealer on there. But the lifters come out too. I had to vice grip them, heat up the inside of the block a little bit, vice grip them and pull them out. But yeah, she's all out now. That's good. Who knows what shape the valve seat's in there, but that's what happened on that Unicorn 3.5 horse. The intake seat was spinning right around and had like tried to bore its way into the block. I've seen that a couple times now. It's kind of hard to fix that. But, I guess if a guy had a good enough machine shop and wanted to spend the time on it, you could repair just about anything, but you probably end up making your own valve seat. The intake, you could do that. You could probably just run mild steel or something because it doesn't take that much heat, but the exhaust would be a different matter, of course. It'd need to be stainless at least. But anyway, I mean, they make them out of stellite and all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, so had some fun here. Like I say, the amount of BS I've gone through on this, I guess I will try to get it running just to see how bad it's going to smoke. So anyway, lots of fun. Okay, so now to get the valves operable again, the tappets were both seized also. This is the intake tappet. It seemed to be worse than the exhaust. Had to grip it with vice grips, and well, I heated this up to get it out. Then once you get it out and the block cools down, you get the valves, all that, I take a 1/4 inch drill bit and put it in the hole, and then just by hand kind of ream it. This one was pretty tight. I actually had to resort in twisting it with both hands, and then also do the same thing to the valve guides. Stick the drill bit down, twist it by hand, and this one I actually had to the intake. It was like it was tight right here, so I had to I grabbed this with needle-nosed vice grips and spun it down and through, and then once I got far enough, it loosened up and the drill bit basically fell through. But the object isn't really to ream it, it's just to clean out the corrosion that's causing it to seize. That's why I say to do it by hand, not by like a battery drill or something. You don't want to spin it very fast because you're not trying to remove a material. You're just trying to clean the crud off it. Basically, there's just aluminum oxide or something forms there that seizes it up. So, just trying to remove that and get the tappets and the valves operable again. Well, since the original intake valve is bent there and nuked, I'm going to use the valve from the wood chipper there. It's got some issues too, but it looks like I can make it seat. I bought a new valve for the wood chipper there, since the motor's going to be loaded on it. So this one here is just like a test engine, so I'll wire brush it, clean it up, and then I have to lap the valve in the seats there and everything. But I'll just put a used valve in this one here for the smoker test, shall we say. Well, I've made some progress on the 5-horse here. The top piston ring, it decided to break in the process of removing it out of the groove. That was after leaving it soaking in a jar of penetrating oil for a couple days. So it was just stuck too badly in the piston groove there. So I'm using a different top ring, another used one off another scrapyard engine. But the piston rod assembly doesn't look bad. I've also managed to get the spark working. I had to put a new condenser on it, and then this wire here is rubbing against the flywheel. It had spark, and then it didn't have spark, so I played around with that for an hour or so trying to figure out what the heck happened. It sparked 4 times and then it quit. Or I don't know, whatever, but it's got good spark now. So and I got the valves back in it there, using that intake valve out of the wood chipper. So now I just have to well, I got to put the original recoil starter back on it. I got to clean the cylinder head up. Got to put the piston rod back in it. I'm using a different crankshaft. I'm using a short crankshaft. This is the crankshaft out of it here. It's well, almost mint condition, so I'll be saving it. It's geez, all kinds of parts flying here. It's nice and long on that end, so I can use it for like a go-kart or something. So anyway, I'll tear the cover back off there and put the piston in.